Patrick with Shazeebo. I've got a bunch of shade sail corners here that I want to go over with you, show you some of the different things that people do, the different techniques that they have, and then I'm going to show you our shade sail corners and explain why ours are the best. Okay, here we have a couple of typical sails that you can find on the internet, and there's three major differences between a Shazeebo and the internet sails. The first difference is that they usually have exposed webbing. Now when the sun sees this, it's going to degrade it, make it chalky and brittle, and at some point the D-ring is just going to pop off. And with ours, we still use webbing in the corner. We just use 2-inch seatbelt webbing, which has a breaking strength of 4,000 pounds, so you're never going to have any trouble with that thing breaking out. The second major difference is in the thread. If you don't use a lifetime warranty thread, you're going to have a problem at some point. And we repair a lot of sails that other people have made simply because the thread gives out. A typical half-pound spool of awning thread is less than 10 bucks. The PTFE thread we use that has the same strength 10 years from now as it does today, this is about 90 bucks. It is very expensive, but it's well worth it. The third major difference is in the perimeter system that provides the tension. Typical internet sails use webbing. This uses a small, probably 1.25 inch webbing. This guy uses 1.5 inches. Well, we use a cable. Now there's a couple advantages to that. Cable's stronger, and then there's adjustability. So when you buy these internet sails or even a custom shade sail that's made with webbing, you have no adjustability. If you are off on your measurements just a little bit, or the angle of your attachment points off a little bit, you're kind of stuck with it because there's no adjustment. Whereas with a cable perimeter sail, you can adjust the cable independently of the fabric, which gives you some adjustability, and it's just a more forgiving shade sail. Alright, I've got a couple more shade sails we'll compare to the Shazeebo, and I want you to look at the hardware on these. So as we look at this shade sail, it looks pretty substantial. You got a plate, you got a metal plate here attached to the shackle like we use, and then a turnbuckle. Looks very strong and substantial, and you think, wow, you know, that's a really good shade sail. And then I show you the rest of it, and they use this tiny cable. The shade sail itself, as it attaches, is only a couple inches wide. So you go from this big plate down to this thin little shade sail, you know, with plenty of stress points to start giving out. There's been a lot of attempts at shade sail hardware, and in my book, keeping it simple is really the best way to go about it. So with the Shazeebo, we simply have a D-ring solidly sewn into the fabric, we have a cable, and then stainless steel hardware. So really simple, solid. You're not going to have any issues with a Shazeebo shade sail. Okay, here we have the brute force comparison. So this shade sail is actually pretty decently made. They're webbing. They use 2-inch webbing, which is good, and they've covered it up so the sun can't see it. But it's just big and bulky. They have this extra reinforcement where the cable is supposed to come out. This may look more substantial and stronger than what we do, but it's more the finesse. Our pocket has a smooth transition. As the cable rides along the pocket and comes out, there's no stress point. There's no need for a huge reinforcement like this. It goes around the shackle and nicely back into the pocket. So it's more the technique difference. This is finely tuned. This is bull in a china shop. However, done by somebody who's an experienced sewer, compared to this guy who a little more haphazard with his sewing method, just not quite as pretty as these two, and for sure not the Shazeebo. And another major difference is they used a round ring on this one, and let me show you why you want to stay away from that. It pulls with more force on the edges and less force in the middle, so it doesn't spread that stress out. And what will happen is over time, it'll start to cut the webbing right here, and it'll eventually scissor its way through and break. So a round ring is not as good as a flat D-ring. Okay, to recap, what makes a Shazeebo the best shade sail on the market? Well, I've had the opportunity to go to Australia, and the Australians are the ones that really fine-tuned shade sails. And I learned from 3 different shops over there. I took their techniques. I've been around the U.S., actually participated in some workshops where I taught people how to make shade sails. So when you buy a Shazeebo, you're buying basically my experience. You're buying the things I've learned over the years and combined into what I think is the perfect shade sail. You've got seatbelt webbing, which is covered so the sun never sees it. You've got lifetime warranty thread, which I've never had a failure on the thread, so you can count on never having to worry about that. And then we recommend the cable perimeter, which is more flexible and forgiving, especially if it's your first shade sale. All tightened and held to your attachment point with a simple stainless steel turnbuckle, shackle, not a lot of parts that can fail or not much to go wrong with that. So when you're buying a Shazeebo, you're buying many thousands of shade sails made, years of experience, and my heart and soul into the design of this corner, which is really the key to the strength of a shade sail.